Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is looking at the horrors that we're told daily about rising temperatures and how the world's going to destroy itself because of man. And I'm not listening anymore. And I'm going to debunk the notion of the UK's highest ever temperature recorded in the 19th of June 2022. Now, before I start, what I'm not saying is stop doing anything that kind of helps the planet. What I'm not saying is let's stop recycling plastic bags and doing stuff that, we can not do very easily without having a big impact on us and a big impact on our way of life. What I am saying though is this whole climate nonsense where we have to stop building power stations, we have to stop driving our cars, we have to stop doing all this stuff is based on lies. And I'm not wearing it anymore. So we've had a wee spate of warm weather. I was down in London at the weekend and it was warm. And some people would have you believe that that's going to be the end of the world soon. We're destroying the planet and that's why the temperatures are rising. So the hottest temperature ever recorded in the United Kingdom was 40.3 degrees on the 19th of June 2022, which was a particularly hot day. It was kind of warm, right? But I don't believe that to be true. I don't believe we had that temperature. We did have it for a very small period of time in one peculiar place, but I'll show you why that is a lot of nonsense. So the day in question, this was it. The UK recorded temperature above 40 degrees for the first time. Okay. The mercury hit 40.2 at Heathrow. And if you want to Google that day and that temperature, you'll find that it wasn't a town called Heathrow, it was Heathrow Airport. Remember that. An hour later, the same temperature was reached in Lincolnshire village of Conisbee. Right, so you would kind of think with the picture they painted there that this will be a thermometer in the middle of the village, because that's how it's sold to you. By 4:12 p.m, the temperature there had risen to 40.3 degrees, the highest ever recorded in the UK. And you think, heavens help my bob, right? That's a bit scary, right? So we've established that Heathrow isn't a quaint wee fishing village. Heathrow is the airport. And the weather reading data is taken from the airport where there's like lots of planes. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, right? But see when you walk onto the tarmac to go up the stairs to get to your plane, it's kind of warmer than it is in the car park. Because there's lots of planes. And planes are propelled by jet engines, right? So, no surprise that the hottest temperature ever recorded anywhere in the United Kingdom was in the middle of an airport. Then we come to Conisbee, the idyllic Lincolnshire village of Conisbee, as they're trying to sell it. Right, the weather station for Conisbee is at Conisbee Royal Air Force Base. Now, furthermore, it's not like at the car park at the entrance, right? There are two suggested places of where exactly at Conisbee RAF Airport these things are. And one of them, if you look at the little set of buildings just next to the tarmac, which is the runway, right? There's a little building there, and if you let me get... Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. The little building there is suggested site number 1 and suggested site number 2. So where this building is here, there's the taxi runway, okay? Or the other place is, if you look between the taxi runway to the north and this runway itself to the south, there's this little green bit of grass, a little circle. That's suggested place number 2. So it's either there or just in front of these buildings and close to the runway and right on where the planes taxi. Because if you look to the left of this photograph, you can see the hangars, right? where the planes come out of. They then go from left to right along that taxi, up to the end of the runway, and take off, going right to left, right past where the weather thing is. It reads the temperature. Now the reason, so here's a kind of better picture. So over to the left, you see the taxi runway, and there's little buildings there, and that's suggested place number 1. We're in between the runway and the taxi, just to the left of the runway, is suggested place number 2. Now what they do is, they come out the hangar, and they go from the bottom of the screen up to the top, and then there's a turning bit, and they take off going from the top down to the bottom, north to south as it is in this picture. Now the reason I kind of know that is, there is a, right, so that's a runway, and you'll see over there to the left it says aircraft spotters car park. So the planes fly towards them when they're taking off. So they must taxi in the opposite direction, right past where the temperature's taken. Isn't that bloody surprising? Right? Now, what takes off at Conisbee? Tornadoes. And the Tornado multi-role combat aircraft takes off using its powerful engines and specialised features for high-speed flight. During takeoff, the pilot will typically set the engine power to maximum, afterburner or reheat if needed. How mad is that, right? So what we've got now is, we've got the 2 highest temperatures ever recorded in the UK happened within hours of each other in the same day. One of them was Heathrow Airport, and then at 4:12, specifically 4:12, not 4:11, not 4:13, a Royal Air Force base in Conisbee by temperature readers right next to the runway. Now further since that, there's been some really clever people got some FOI information to say when the planes take off, and guess what? At 4:12 on the 19th of June 2022, 3, not 1, 3 Tornado aircraft took off to go and exercise. And we use that to tell us to stop using our cars, to shut down Grangemouth, to stop taking oil out the North Sea. It is nonsense. Now, the other thing you could do is, if we want to just go, oh, but the data's right, and we want to use the data for to explain all this stuff and as an excuse, right? Let me just, so that's the wrong thing. Where B is it? Is it this one? Right. So what this chart is here is, that is the data taken from Conisbee Royal Air Force Base, where we take the temperatures, where we tell everybody it's really warm, right? And the temperature on the 19th, now this is this year. So as you can see, there's some peaks there to the left. The first peak is the 18th, the next peak's the 19th. So on the 19th of June 2025, the same day, 3 years later, from the hottest temperature ever in the United Kingdom, it was 23.6. If you go 2 peaks to the right, you'll see the biggest peak in the month. That was June 2021, 21st of June. And it reached the heady heights of 31.4. Let me remind you that the highest ever reading in the UK was 40.3. So it's nearly 10 degrees colder this year in the same place than it was in 2022. So why are they not telling us, oh my God, we're in danger, the temperature's dropping? Because it doesn't suit the narrative. So in a nutshell, I'm going to tell you 2 things. One, the highest recorded temperature in the United Kingdom wasn't the highest recorded temperature in the United Kingdom, because it was false data. Air Force Base, Tornado jets taken off the same time, and the record temperature was recorded for a full 60 seconds. It reached the heady heights of 40.3, right? But the other thing is, if we want to say, well, let's ignore that and just say, but oh no, that didn't happen, right? There was no aircraft took off at the same time. And let's just say that was real, 40.3. Well, it's away down to the low 30s now. The same day, sorry, under 30, the same day, 3 years later. And in the same month, 3 years later, the highest recorded temperature was 9 degrees less. But we don't tell everybody it's getting colder. We better put a jacket on. It's a bit parky, right? So could we please stop listening to the nonsense? Yes, if we can do things like stop using aerosols with CFC, stop using plastic carrier bags and throwing them away, let's not have a disposable culture. These things I kind of get, right? And if we can do a wee bit better with it, that's fine. But what we don't need to do is destroy industry, destroy farming, destroy every manufacturing, because as prices go up of energy, costs go up for everything we make, and it's not conducive to having a healthy industry, right? The economy doesn't want high energy prices. We're losing jobs. We've just shut Grangemouth, all because some people want to keep pushing this myth that we human beings, for some reason, are destroying the planet. The other thing you need to consider is we've been recording temperatures for about 100 odd years now, right? And 100 years ago, that century was one of the coldest centuries for thousands of years. So when we get to the 21st century and we go, well, 18 whatever, 1904, it was a bit cooler. Well, of course it was. And the reason being, see when you go up to glaciers, they put big tubes in and they pull out ice that was like created thousands of years ago. And in that ice, there's air bubbles. And in that, they can read carbon and work out temperatures and all this stuff, right? And it's colder now than it was 5,000 years ago. And it is warmer than it was 100 years ago, but that was one of, when these guys that are clever that can look back thousands of years, that century we're comparing it to was one of the coldest for thousands of years. So calm down, stop the noise, let's stop ruining lives, ruining industry, losing jobs, because we're taking temperatures at an Air Force base when tornado jets are taking off. If you enjoyed this video and you want others to see it, please hit the thumbs up, please hit the comments below, and please hit share. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell. However, the most important thing of all, unless you're the type of person that wants to tell lies, and you can do anything with stats, by the way. You can do practically anything you want. You can tell any story you want through stats. So let's stop using fudge stats to drive your green ambitions and terrorising the whole planet. Not you. If you're that type of person, no you. But everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.